Alright, today I'm replacing the brake pads and rotors on my 1996 Nissan D21 Hardbody pickup. It's the two-wheel drive, so I think it's different on the four-wheel drive one. I don't know if the rotors are different on the front, but the rear has drum brakes and the front has disc brakes. I already did the other side, so now I'm going to pass on some of the tips that I came up with for doing this if you don't have a bunch of tools, especially if you don't have an impact gun, because I don't. But I came up with a bit of a hack for getting the rotor off of this thing. I think it's called the hub. I don't really know what this is called, but it's a pain getting this thing unbolted from each other. So I came up with the trick. So you're going to need some tools. I definitely recommend having a breaker bar. I think this would be pretty much impossible without a breaker bar or an impact wrench. You got to have, or an impact gun. You got to have one of them at least. And as far as socket sizes, so the sockets that you are going to need are, this one here is a 14 millimeter. That's the one that gets the top part of the caliper off. And then the big ones in the back, I'm not sure if you can see, it's this one here. Yeah, so this is the one, there's two of these that you use to take the actual entire caliper assembly off, and those are 19 millimeters. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the top part of the caliper off, set it up here, and then I will get back with you. Okay, I got the top part of the caliper off. I just set it up here. I don't have any wire hangers. So now I'm going to use my breaker bar to take off these 19 millimeter. Start with the bottom one. Yeah, these are on there pretty tight. I don't think you'd be able to, I mean, unless yours are not tight for some reason, which would probably be bad, you're gonna need a breaker bar or an impact gun to get these off. Because I tried without the breaker bar and it was just gonna be impossible. Okay, those are loosened up. I should be able to get them with my regular. Okay, now these two bolts are different sizes. They're the same size, but one of them is longer. The top one should be longer, so you can tell they're not the same. Just remember, put the tall one back on the top one. And now this should come off. It might take a little. You can see my caliper has a lip on it. Or excuse me, the rotor. So I think I'm going to have to kind of pull these apart. Or just break it off. That works too. And there we go. It's out. Okay. All right, another tip. So whenever you're putting the new calipers in, one of the pads has a little tail sticking off the back. That needs to go facing the back. So the back where it bolts on, tail goes to the back. The other one doesn't have that on it. These pads really aren't like too bad. I don't know when the last time they were replaced were. I saw that the rotor was kind of worn down, so I decided to go ahead and replace both of them. The pads are relatively cheap. I just bought a kit. It came with the rotors and the pads and the clips. Make sure that you buy the clips. They don't always come with every kit. Make sure you get the clips if it doesn't come with it. You can reuse these, but they're not like made to be reused. They're made to just be thrown away, so I would just replace them. They're pretty cheap. So next thing, back over here, is going to be getting the dust cap off of the wheel bearing assembly. So what I did last time is I basically just took a screwdriver, kind of pounded with a bit of an angle on it. You might dent it up a little bit. You just don't want to damage this part, because that's what seals the dirt out. So just bang that off. I'll see if I can get it on video. I don't think I'm going to be able to video while I do it, but just pop it off, get it loose, take it off, and then I'll show you how we take the whole thing apart. All right, so I just pounded it a little bit, and it already started to open up a gap. You can kind of see right here, I can fit my screwdriver in there now. I couldn't before. So now what I can do is I can just push, start to pry. Don't push too hard. Don't give it a lot of force. You don't want to bend anything. So just go around slowly, pop it off. Whenever you can't push on it, just go sideways and then just pry, like push it this way. Gives you a bit more leverage. Just keep going around. And there you go. Pops off. There you go. There it is. So there it is. This thing just presses in there. It's all full of grease. That's a good thing. You want grease in there. And there's that. That's all covered in grease. That's also good. Okay. Now we're going to clean this off. Get you some paper towels. You're going to need them. I like to use these like the Brawny ones, or I can't remember what they're called. They're kind of like or maybe they're the Viva. They're kind of like those shop towels you buy, but they're a little cheaper. The shop towels are pretty pricey. So what's interesting to me is that the grease on this side is a different color than the other side. So maybe they were replaced at different times. I don't know. All right. So once you get a little bit of this grease off, you can see right here is a pin. It's finned out right now, fanned out. So we're gonna bend it back together straight. And don't damage this, because I mean, I'm sure you can buy replacement ones, but my kit didn't come with one, so. But I was able to get the other one off, straighten it out, pull it through, and then put it back on. And I mean, it's not taking a lot of force in there. Its job is to basically just make sure that the wheel bearing can't spin off. Because there's a nut that's holding the wheel bearing on, and you just don't want your wheel bearing to come off, because that's basically holding this whole thing together. All right, once you kind of get it straightened out a bit, what I was able to do is kind of get it as straight as you can, and then there's a little, this side has like an eye, kind of like a needle, an eye of the needle. You can stick your thing up through the eye here, and then you can take a hammer and hit your pliers and pull it out, which will kind of straighten it out as you pull it out. Just go easy, don't break anything. I was able to get the last one out without too much trouble. All right, got the pin out. Wasn't too hard, just right there, popped right out. This thing is just a cover that just comes off. And then this is your bolt, and you don't want it shouldn't be tight, because if it's too tight, you might break it when you drive. So it just needs to be like just on there. And then that'll just come off though. So you shouldn't even, I mean, definitely shouldn't need to use a ratchet or anything to get it off. If you do, just use a pair of pliers and just twist it off. It shouldn't be on there tight, and you shouldn't put it back on there tight. So, and I'm going to wipe some of this grease off when I'm done here, but we're just going to be putting new grease in there anyway, so it doesn't need to be super clean. Take a screwdriver, get this out. There's a little washer in here. Just the washer. And then the bearing is going to come out too. So the washer has a little pin on it here. That needs to be in the down position. And then the bearing is right here. And the bearing should just come out. The bearing is kind of tapered. If you look at it, you can see that it is tapered inward. So just remember that you want the narrower end on the inside. And then this whole thing should just come right off. Yep, there it is. It's kind of heavy, so I need to use 2 hands. Okay, so far we've got the caliper off, we've got the rotor hub assembly off. So now we got to get the rotor off of this thing. And these bolts are on there pretty good, which is good. You want them to be on there pretty good. But there's no way you're going to get them off without an impact gun just like this. You got to figure something out. And so when I did the other one, I realized that I could just put this in my wheel that's off, because your wheel is going to give you a much larger thing to grab onto. So just stick it in there, grab a couple lug nuts. I just did 2 lug nuts. Oh, I did it. So just throw a couple lug nuts on there. And the only reason we're doing this is to give ourselves something that we can, something big and heavy, basically to mount this thing to. That way we can use our breaker bar on it. So, let's see what size is this socket. We need a big socket for the. Here's a big one. So, get those on there. They don't need to be super tight. Just tight enough. Okay. There we go. Now, I'm gonna get the breaker bar, and we're gonna get the, I think it's a 7, no, what size? I think it's 14 actually. So that's a 19. Where's my 14? It's up here. Here it is. So I got my 14 on my breaker bar, and now I'm gonna stand this up, just kind of put my legs around it, and you're gonna have plenty of torque with this. Get those on there. Get it in there. You can't really see it on the video, but anyway, now I'm gonna push on it. There we go. I was able to break it loose. So that's my hack for getting your rotor bolts loose if you don't have an impact gun. Should have one more. There we go. Now you're just going to take these the rest of the way off. Okay, got the bolts out, 6 of them. Here's another thing. So for this step, I would just leave it in the wheel, because you still need to have some leverage. So what I did last time, because this thing's going to be probably like rusted onto the hub, so what I did is I took a cloth, just stuck it in there. And I wouldn't do this if you're taking your rotor off for some reason and you're not replacing it, because you're probably going to damage the rotor. But I mean, I'm throwing this rotor away, so I don't care. Take a hammer and just give it a good thwack. Boom, there we go. Nice and loose. And Let's see if I can get this thing out of there. Well, I'm having some trouble. The other one wasn't stuck on there. What's going on? Like the rubber seal or something. Anyway, let me try to get this off and then I'll get back. All right, got it off. Wasn't too hard. I'm just gonna take a wire brush, brush some of this dirt out of here for the next one to be a nice and tight seal. And yes, I know it's probably a good idea to replace the wheel bearings, but I didn't get any more wheel bearings, so I'm not going to. These are gonna have to work. And they're probably fine anyways. So now you're gonna get your new rotor, which is right here. These are, if anyone's interested or cares, DFC, Dynamic Friction Company, GO-Spec coated brake rotors. Got them on rockauto.com. I'm not too particular. I tend to get stuff that's middle of the road, not too cheap. I don't want the cheapest. I also don't really care about having the nicest. This isn't a drift truck. This isn't a four-wheel drive going off-road. Mostly city and highway driving. That's what I do. So once you get your new rotor out of the bag, look how nice and shiny that is. Don't worry about getting it dirty. You're gonna get it dirty, that's fine. You're gonna clean it once it's back onto the axle. So don't worry about that right now. So then get this on there. There we go. And you're just going to go through the reverse of everything you just did. You're going to put them on, torque them down, and then you're going to take this off of the wheel. And at this point, you're basically just going back through everything you did in reverse. And I will come back with putting the calipers back on because there's some spots you want to put brake grease on to make sure that everything slides around nice and smooth. But for now, I'm just going to basically go through everything I just did in reverse. Okay, I forgot to say this before, but you definitely want to re-grease this before you put the assembly back on. Get some good grease in there. That looks pretty good to me. And then I also put some new grease in there just around that bearing. And then I'm going to put this on. And then I'm also going to be basically re-greasing all of this stuff. I'm not putting a ton of grease on there or like repacking or anything, but just kind of wiping out some of that old grease, putting some new grease, because this one might look like it might got a little bit of moisture in there or something. I don't know. Grease gets kind of milky looking when it gets oil in it, or water, excuse me. So just re-grease everything up, make sure it's all good to go. Because hopefully I won't do this again for a long time. All right, we're getting there. Got everything put back together. Got the dust cap back on. Just put everything back in like it was when you found it. Do it all in the right order. Tap this back in there. This shouldn't be too hard to get back in there. Just don't damage it. But just get your hammer. Tap it back in. It should be pretty easy. Now I'm going to clean off my rotor. It's a bit of... shit's real nasty. This is a brake cleaner. It's gross, nasty stuff. I don't like working with it, but it's one of those like necessary evils. So I'm just gonna wipe off my rotor. It's hard to do this one-handed, so don't do it one-handed. There we go. Got all those fingerprints off there. All those grease marks. Should be good to go. Got to make sure you get the back of it too. Get the back of it. All right, now we're gonna turn our attention to this guy. So we're gonna pop these out. Now, if you're reusing them, be careful. Don't bend them. I'm not reusing them, so I'm just gonna get them out of there. Another thing is that at this point in time, You want to be careful about where you get your greasy fingers. My fingers are still kind of greasy. You're done with that. And now you got to use this. Brake lubricant. I believe it's a silicone-based lube. I have heard people say that you can use other types of lube, but just to be on the side of caution, I would recommend getting something marketed for brakes. If you're putting on your brakes or anywhere near your brakes, get the one that says brakes. Now, to be clear, you're not putting it on the brakes. We're not putting it on the rotor. We're not putting it on the pads. Don't be ridiculous. We're going to put it on the metal-to-metal contact points of the brake caliper system. So I'll show you as we go through it. So our old calipers are over there. Don't throw your old calipers away yet because you'll need them to compress the piston. We're going to get the new ones, which are somewhere. Where did I put them? Nope, they're on the other side of the garage. All right, let me get my calipers and then I'll get back. Okay, I got the new ones. I was calling them calipers. They're pads. They're not calipers. This is the caliper, this thing. So what you want to do with the caliper, brush off these two spots, the contact points. This is where the clips go. Brush off that rust. You don't need to make it sparkle. You don't need to chemical dip it. I mean, this truck's like 25 years old, 26 years old. It's never going to look brand new again. But we just want to make sure we have good contact. Make sure you get all that dust coming off there. Make sure to breathe it in. Just kidding, don't do that. Wear a respirator if you have one. I don't have one. Wear safety glasses, especially when you're working around stuff that can get in your eye. That's just good best practice. I mean, nobody's going to do it, but definitely wear safety glasses if you care about your eyesight. Okay. We're going to put a little bit of grease on these two spots. The brake grease, that is. Silicone brake grease. You don't need a lot. In fact, that's probably almost too much. Just going to put some there. There. Wipe it around on that spot. You need to get it everywhere, just on that one spot. Turn around, do the other side. There we go. That looks good. Now, we're going to pop our new clips in. I think my new clips are on the other side of the garage too. All right, give me a minute. All right, I got the clips in. Some cars, they're different on each one. On this truck, they seem to be the same on both sides. So just pop them in there. They should pop in nice and easy. They don't really click or anything. They just kind of slip in there and hold themselves. And then you're going to put your new pads in. Now, this is very important. Try not to touch the actual pad. These are ceramic pads. There's other types. I just got ceramic because I wanted the best ones. They weren't that much more expensive. All right, they're going to go in. They're going to follow the arc of this. So this is the one on the back. So this one actually needs to go on the other side. These don't really like clamp in there. They just kind of slip in there, and then they just kind of hold until you actually put the top part of the caliper on, and then that locks them in there. So I'm just going to slip these on there, and then I'll get back with you. Okay, I got these in. I put a little bit of grease on the back of them. You want to do that to the grease on there. Do them on both sides. And then you're going to slide these back on. There we go. I'm not going to be able to do this with one hand, so I'm going to have to turn off the camera, but I'm just going to put the bolts back in, and then we're going to put the top part of the caliper on. Okay. I didn't show it on the first one, but put a little bit of grease on these bolts. I don't know if this is really necessary in this system. I saw another video where a guy was putting grease on those bolts, and it was a different car, so I don't know if some cars need it, some cars don't, but it's probably fine to put it on there. So I'm tighten these down. Then we're going to put the top part back on. We're gonna have to compress it. So you will also need a brake compressor, because good luck trying to compress it without one. Here's mine. I bought it on Amazon for I think $5. It's a very simple device, and literally what it's going to do is it's going to let you push the piston back in to let room, because as your brakes get worn down, it expands less and less and less, and so when you take them off, it's going to be set to a smaller position than the new ones you're putting on, so you need to open it up a bit, and that's where the compressor tool comes in. All right, I'm going to be compressing this now. You may realize that you can't, you need something to like shim in there to press it back, so just get your old brake pad. That's why I said don't throw them away yet. Get your old brake pad, stick it in there. You're just going to use that as like the wedge, just to give you like a plate to push against. Push it in, and at this point we're pretty much done. You also want to put some grease on around the piston, and then on the other side where this metal plate, this black metal plate is currently sitting up against. Put some grease there, get the rust off, and then you're pretty much done. So that's all there is to it. Not super difficult, I wouldn't say. Some tools required, but you don't need like a full mechanics tool workshop right now. I'm sure I did something wrong. I'm sure all the mechanics on YouTube are gonna like chime in and let me know that I catastrophically, broke something, but I don't know. I watched a few videos of other people doing it, and I learned from their mistakes, and hopefully it works out all right. Thanks for watching.